Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us. My name is Darren. That is AJ, and this is the DNA Sports Recap.
Roll the intro.
How's it going, AJ?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Well, it's been an eventful week in sports for sure.
Dude, there's so much going on.
Yeah,
it's been crazy, and like trying to keep up with everything to put a show together is like, okay, well, let's just pick and choose exactly what we have going.
Yeah.
Right?
With everything going on, college football, it's been insane. Like, we called a team not in the college playoff that is going to be in the college playoff, and it's been interesting. We definitely will get into all that first, but let's go ahead and get started with the pre-show. Cheers.
Pre-show.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, my friends.
We are back to Monkey Shoulder today.
Man, it is so good.
I really like it. Monkey Shoulder, reach out. We could use a
We're
sponsorship.
ready. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll put your bottle right here.
Yeah, it'll be like most of our videos where the bottle's just sitting there in the shop because we were too lazy to take it out.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about those ones, though.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's talk a little bit about the University of Utah. So now we kind of recapped the season last week where we talked a little bit about how we felt they finished. Not well, but with all things considered, given the type of situation we had where all teams deal with injuries, but I think with the University of Utah, it was definitely a different ball game altogether.
It was a really rough season injury wise for the Utes. They battled, and I mean, they were in the thick of it all the way up until the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like they took, until that third loss happened, like they were really right in the ball game. They could still compete for a Pac-12 championship. A lot of players really stepped up, and it was really fun to watch. All the way until we took those last couple of losses, and then that Arizona loss was really the dagger in it.
Yeah. I would say going up to that Arizona loss, it was pretty much copy and paste from the previous season when they walked away with the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah.
So the Utes were pretty much in it the whole way. So all in all, I'd say you gotta, given the scenario, you got to kind of walk away with saying it was not the way we wanted to have it end. But it's definitely a positive season given everything all considered.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then, with all of that stuff that kind of happens throughout the season, you're bound to start losing some players. And that's kind of what we're talking about here today.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the almighty transfer portal here. I think we're only in 4 years into this, but there's a lot of conversation around it. It's definitely been a big talking point through the local talking heads here in Utah.
Yep. So December 4th, the transfer portal opens. Everyone was excited to see who's, jumping in, jumping out, who's still on board with this Utes team. And we've definitely had some movements. That's what we're here to update you guys. So
let's start with the earliest one. Don't you think we should start with the earliest one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first person that really jumped into the transfer portal that was semi-surprise, I guess if you're a Utes fan, you know that Cam Rising announced his return. Nate Johnson's the first one. He's 4-star dual threat quarterback out of Clovis, California. I think everybody that's a Ute fan kind of loved Nate, was excited for him to come to the program. He stepped in, he provided a huge spark in that Baylor game that got us out of it, right? I mean, that was because it was scary.
It was
scary. Bryson Barnes was struggling. Nate Johnson steps in. He earns a starting role for a couple of games. And then you just kind of see the steady decline, right? We played a really tough Oregon State team that really made Nate Johnson look kind of foolish, right? I mean, the defense is good against that team. And he stepped in, he gave it his all. We lose the Oregon State game. That gives us our first loss of the season. And it kind of gave you the feeling that after they changed, back from Nate and they moved Bryson Barnes back to the starting role, I think everybody kind of had the idea that we might not see Nate Johnson next season.
Yeah. I think it was kind of there on the wall, and the Utes did, to their credit, give him an offer of switching positions to wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, obviously when you're Nate Johnson and from his position, from his perspective, I think when you're used to being a quarterback, changing to a wide receiver, I don't know. I don't fault him for wanting to make this change.
I wish Nate Johnson the best of luck wherever he ends up. I'll probably be a fan of whatever team he ends up at, just so that I can watch him continue to play, because I think he didn't get quite enough opportunity to really show what he could do with the Utes. But I think he will be a great quarterback for some program somewhere in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. With the whole playbook open up to him,
Yeah.
like we've argued that like 60% of the playbook was open to him all year.
Exactly.
So he wasn't really able to run the sets that he wanted to run, and not also not getting first reps, when they still were practicing Cam with the first half of the first reps go to him.
And it just kills these guys, man.
Yeah. So
he didn't. I don't think Nate Johnson really got a fair shake at being QB1. But like I said, best of luck to him wherever he ends up. I think he'll end up with a good program, and I think he'll have a good opportunity to play somewhere.
100% agree.
Yep.
Heavy trails. The
next one that kind of jumps into the portal is again a quarterback. Mac Howard, 3-star quarterback out of Columbus, Mississippi. He hasn't actually played a snap with the Utes, but he was part of the number 21 recruiting class of last year. He's just looking to play somewhere. You know what I mean? When Cam's coming in, at the point when he transferred, there wasn't as many dominoes that had fallen yet, but he sees the writing on the wall with Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson, who, we'll talk about more here in just a second.
Right.
So it's all good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mac Howard is, he wasn't a super highly recruited quarterback. He's only a 3-star, but I think he had a ton of potential. He was a guy that a lot of people were looking forward to seeing on the field. And again, we wish Mac Howard the best of luck wherever he ends up.
Absolutely. All right. And who we got next?
The next one was a little bit hurty, man. The next one hurt a little bit. Bryson Barnes, everyone's favorite pig farmer and walk-on quarterback.
I was so sick of that whole pig farmer thing by the time they got done. I'm like, really, guys?
But
let's focus how good of a football player he is. Let's talk of that.
And that's exactly what I want to talk about. This guy holds the Utah State high school record for career touchdown passes. He walked onto the team in 2020. He came into the Rose Bowl with 10 minutes left, throws an amazing touchdown pass to make it look like Utah has a chance against a really talented Ohio State team. He plays 23 career games with Utah, 9 of them being starts. He's 6-3 as a starter with Utah. He's named a captain in week 8 of this season. And the best part about this is he does agree to, he is going to play in the Las Vegas Bowl and, continue to take this team all the way through the season. His comment in the media was he wants to finish what he started.
I like it.
I love that, dude. It just shows you how classy of a person it just shows you how classy of a person Bryson Barnes truly is. And I'm really excited that he's probably got some offers to go play and start for a team somewhere because the rumor is that it was already lined up. Absolutely. So the rumor was before the portal even opened, he already had offers, in which, obviously that's against the rules, but everybody knows that's not the case. People talk. Yeah. There's just no way you're going to get around it. Honestly, I think we need to get rid of any of the stupid rules when it comes to this kind of thing. Like, it just doesn't make any sense because they're going to do it anyway. But the rumor is, according to ESPN 700, that he knew before he even announced going into the portal that he had a starting gig somewhere else that he's going to plan on taking. So, and I could see him ending up, and obviously this is just purely speculation, but I could see him ending up at a Utah State who's going to be playing a Pac-12 schedule next year. Somewhere close, because I think he is kind of a local guy that I think he'd like to be able to have his family come to games. And I think that'd be an awesome pickup for Utah State.
That would be good.
And they just lost their starting quarterback. So
actually, I didn't even think about that. I thought he would end up going to another like P5 type program there. Air quotes for people on the podcast. I did air quotes there for P5 because that's one subject we've had it in the notes to talk about, the proposal of how the Pac-12 is going to survive. We really got to get around to that. Yeah. If you want to hear about that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely get covering that probably sometime during the off season. Yeah, because it's really a fascinating way they're planning on doing this. So they actually just got a vote on Oregon State and Washington State getting to maintain the rights to the name Pac-12. So absolutely, it is somewhat of a breaking story. So we'll definitely cover it in the future, but.
And there's actually more college football playoff news that we need to discuss in the next video, because there's some good stuff coming out. But as far as Utah transfers, the last one, it just happened today for us at the time of recording today. Mikey Matthews enters the transfer portal.
This one surprised me, man.
Really surprises me, man. This guy played in every single game this year. He's a 4-star recruit out of Mission Viejo. He had a fantastic red and white game where he really kind of showed out against, the Utah team, obviously. And then he played at every single game, man. This dude had some good minutes. I really liked Mikey Matthews.
I did too. I was surprised on this one. I'm not sure what the motivation was. Maybe we'll hear more as time goes,
and if we do, we'll definitely keep you guys updated. So make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button on this video. Tell us what you think. But this is this is going to be typical college football from here on out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If players think that there's a potential for someone to come in and take their starting minutes role, they're going to look to go somewhere else, to a lesser school or a Power 5 school or whatever that might be, to get an opportunity to play. I don't like it. I think that this is kind of killing college football, but it's going to turn it into more of a professional sport. Like,
okay, so are we transferring to that? Or are we still talking about the Utes? Because I got a lot to say on that.
yeah, we should probably stay with the Utes.
Okay.
Let's stay here
For a minute. We'll talk about that in a second. But
yeah.
So okay, so with all this, I guess it actually naturally transitions into that, doesn't it?
It does.
Kinda does.
I would say let's break this. Let's go back to who the Utes currently have. Let's keep this
Okay,
video
okay.
all within one.
Gotcha.
Within one clip here, because you guys tune in. Let us know. Do you want to hear our opinions on what college football is going to be?
Oh,
what it's transitioning to.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. It's not going to be in the Utes video.
Okay, excellent. Even better. Even better. Okay, so Utah quarterback depth. Currently, the Utes on the roster still have Cam Rising, who is supreme leader, alpha dog number one, two-time Pac-12 reigning champion, Pac-12 championship most valuable player. He's coming back. You guys know that. They still got Brandon Rose on the roster, who had a fantastic showing in the 2023 red and white game, which you and I were at.
Yep, great game.
And he is a solid backup. I do have a feeling that Nate Johnson, Mac Howard, and Bryson Bonds were all told that Brandon Rose is going to be the backup quarterback.
Right.
And you're pretty much playing for a QB3 spot, barring any injuries.
I don't know, man. I'd say they're going to be battling for, because they really want to know what they got with this Isaac kid.
But Isaac Wilson, I've got to double. I meant to fact check this before, but I'm pretty sure he got hurt in the last game of his high school career.
Yeah.
So I think he's actually currently injured and probably going to take a redshirt year next year. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
If he's got a redshirt year next year, then we go into a quarterback battle with Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson for 2025.
Okay.
So that puts the Utes in a great position because they've got another quarterback that they just signed. For the 2024 class. And then, and they still have Luke Batari, who we saw make his first start against Colorado, who's a walk-on quarterback. They've still got him on the roster. And they've also still got Steve Smedley, who's a freshman quarterback out of Conroe, Texas, on the roster as well. So they've still got quarterback depth. It's no reason you guys don't need to, pull the flashing alarm or anything. The Utes are still in okay shape in quarterback. And obviously the ideal situation is Cam Rising's healthy and plays all 12 games next year. The Utes win the Utes win the Big 12 and go ahead and move on to play for national championship.
I love it.
When all that happens,
here first, folks.
When all that happens, we're in beautiful shape.
You heard it here first.
The Utes did announce it wasn't the Utes that announced it. Sorry. There is some articles saying the Utes have reached out to Michigan State transfer Sam Levitt. He's a quarterback. So they might be looking for, some potential additional depth at the quarterback roster.
Yeah, what taketh away can also giveth, it's not like we're going to ignore the portal. So
yep, absolutely. And then it's also rumored that they reached out to Washington State star receiver Josh Kelly, who was a stud receiver for Washington State this year. He had 61 catches for 923 yards. So the Utes are going to be looking to add through this transfer portal as well. I look forward to seeing who the Utes actually get out of here. They did a great job last year adding Miles Battle and, some of these stud players from big time, Power 5 conference schools. So the Utes have a chance to catch up, make some of that ground lost. And I think the Utes are going to be just fine next year.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think they're definitely going to be in a better position going into the Big 12 conference than the team down south had a chance to do, because they went from an independent schedule to this and went, their overall record wasn't bad, but they're in conference of 2-7. What was it?
Yeah,
it wasn't great.
Yeah,
it wasn't great.
BYU really struggled in the Big 12, and it's the same struggles we saw our Utes go through when they moved into the Pac-12. You can be as good as you think you are, and you think you have some pretty good recruiting classes, and then when you're playing Power 5 teams every single week, it shows how if you don't have depth at all these positions, you can be in real trouble.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's very similar to what Whittingham said, is that it took 4 years of recruiting in Power 5 to really get there. So we're probably going to see the BYU hopefully, get there for them.
I would say they've got 2 or 3 more years before they're even close.
Yeah, which unfortunately puts you in a very unfortunate timeline, because you and I both know my feelings on how the Big 12 is literally just an audition for what's coming next.
Yep.
So Utes are in a good position to come into that and definitely make some noise right off the bat. So definitely agree with that. So do we have a transfer portal problem, or is this just the way it's going to be going forward?
This is just how it's going to be. I mean, any player that can go into a program and think that they don't have a chance at starting is going to transfer out. They'll be in the program for 1 year, and then they're going to look to the transfer portal and see what offers they get and move there to try to compete for a number 1 spot. That's the problem with Utah is you're not competing for a number 1 spot. You with Cam Rising coming back, there's no chance.
Yeah,
he's QB1. You know,
I don't know, man. The guy's injured. You don't know.
Yeah.
So
and I think but I think the next thing is the Utes have QB depth. Right?
Yeah, they do,
especially with Brandon Rose.
Yeah.
They've got Isaac Wilson, coming up the ranks. So the Utes have QB depth. It doesn't surprise me at all. I just talking to one of my buddies at the last Utes game that I went to, and he said he wouldn't be surprised. Just like I feel if 2 or 3 guys transfer out, and sure enough, as soon as the portal opens, we lose 3 guys to the transfer portal. So,
oh yeah. Yeah, I don't 100% agree on that one. I heard an interesting stat. 90 of the top 100 in college football, there are 90 qualified quarterbacks that entered the portal.
Yeah.
90.
Yeah.
That's insane. That number is insane to think about. But
you think though the quarterback is the most volatile position in college football.
Yeah.
There's only one on the field,
right,
at any given time. Injuries are, here and there, but the fact is you can only play one quarterback at a time.
Yeah.
So you've got to be the best of 130 FBS programs, and you know what I mean.
Right.
To get a starting spot, you've got to be the best of 130.
Right.
So.
No, I agree, and I think the Utes are they're not necessarily in a worse spot than the rest of the college football is. I think this is just the standard, and this is the way it's going to be.
Yep.
Now, pivoting over to that conversation, let's go ahead and jump into that a little bit.
Okay.
So, we'll quick hit on this one for you guys. Let us know if you're listening on the podcast. Let us know if you're watching on YouTube what you think on this one. Drop a comment down below if you want us to cover this in greater detail. Yeah, you mentioned that you think it's to the detriment of college football. And I halfway agree with you and halfway disagree with you.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen? What's the most important thing in college football right now?
They make a buttload of money.
So we're more than 5 minutes. We're past the 3.
Yeah, they make a buttload of money.
Yeah.
That's what their job is. College football at every single institution funds every one of the other sports. It funds all of the female sports.
Did you hear the recent talk about the proposal from the NCAA to try and professionalize just football? Did you hear about this?
That's actually exactly what I was mentioning before, is they're literally looking to be able to pay players for activities outside of college football.
Yeah. Well, the problem is it's too little too late. I think that everybody knows that's just the NCAA realizing, like, wait a minute, who's the commissioner of the NFL again?
Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
How much did he make last year? $48 million.
Yeah, $48 million.
And he just signed a new contract.
Yeah.
So it's going to go up, right? It's going to go up. So, and NFL is probably how much more profitable than college football?
I mean, it's a lot more profitable.
Okay,
let's just a lot more
it.
people in those stadiums. Yeah.
So let's just double. Let's just say college football is worth half, right?
Okay.
So Roger Goodell is the governing body of the NFL, right? He's the commissioner's office.
Individually, yeah.
Individually. I'd say the NCAA is going to be trying to become the Roger Goodell of the future of professional college football.
That is 100% the goal.
So they want to get their hands in that pie. So what would be half of that $50 million contract he's going to get? Probably around $25 million.
Yep.
They're trying to hold on to their own salaries because they realize that they are going to be out of the most profitable part of their business real quick here if they don't do something. And I honestly think it's too little too late. I think the schools realize the power is in their hands to do what they want to do with it. And if they want to separate from the NCAA, they can.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is there's going to be, kind of like we've talked about in the past. And actually, I have a guy that I work with that comes in and he's fantastic. We talk super deep detail about all of our, potential plans for the NCAA moving forward. And, Aaron was just in today and we were talking about it. And the big thing is I feel like
Aaron, shout out to you. That was the name, Aaron, right?
Aaron, shout out to you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Shout out to you, Aaron. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is I think that the college football playoff almost showed their hand in who they selected this year.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Let's
you
get
know
it.
What I mean? Like the fact is they showed that all they actually give any care about is what games are going to make the most money.
Yeah, but do you think they missed the mark? I mean, honestly, I think for better or for worse, if the goal is to have the 4 best football players, the full 4 best football teams to be in these games.
Yeah.
I mean, can you argue that they didn't do it? I mean, who got cut out? Georgia?
No.
They lost to Alabama.
The fact is you have an undefeated Power 5 school that won their whole conference that did not make the playoff.
Right.
How in the world do you take Florida State out? And their only justification is Jordan Travis, who's our starting quarterback, broke his leg 2 weeks ago.
Right.
They still won both games without him. They still won their conference, and they're still undefeated.
Yes, and this is something we talked about last week when we covered it. So if in case you missed it, go ahead and watch the episode that we had last week where we talked about that. Is that the upset would be, Florida State getting in. People are saying it's an upset versus if Alabama wins, and both you and I thought that Alabama wasn't going to make it in.
Correct. I didn't think Alabama was going to beat Georgia, to be honest with you.
I didn't think they were going to beat Georgia either.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my friends in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Roll Tide. You guys are great. Love you. But so I didn't think that was going to happen. And then here's the argument I heard on this. Yes, Florida State did go undefeated and did win their conference. Absolutely. But they're saying that a one-loss SEC team, one-loss SEC champion is a better team than an undefeated team in Florida's conference. That's basically the argument I heard from.
Well, that's every SEC fan's argument, is that conference is the conference, and if you can win the SEC, you deserve to be in the college football playoff. Well, I disagree.
I 100% disagree. I think if we want parity in college football, which I think is going to be a good thing,
and it's gone now. The fact was, this was their last chance to actually show that the most deserving teams make the playoff. It showed that their only thing is what teams are going to make the most money in all of these college football games. That's all the college football playoff actually cares about.
Yeah. So I would argue based off of that in that case, I don't know. I would make a case that if that's the case, then if it's just the four most entertaining schools being in this college football playoff,
then why have a college football playoff at all?
Shouldn't Oregon be in there over
absolutely
Alabama?
Absolutely. Oregon was able.
They only lost one game. They only lost to one team.
Yeah, they only lost to one team.
Yeah,
who's the number 2 team in the country right now?
Yeah, they technically only lost to a top 5 school all year.
Yeah,
so technically, I could argue that Oregon deserves to be in the college football playoff more than Alabama.
Absolutely,
based off of that logic.
And not to mention, you look at the teams Alabama played. Like, how do you schedule and get Chattanooga in your 11th week?
Middle Tennessee State. You're just how do you
get Chattanooga in your 11th week, dude? That's a bye week.
It's Alabama, dude.
Well, and that's exactly my problem. That's exactly what everybody says. It's Alabama.
Yeah. Well,
so you get to schedule a bye week. You get a bye week, and then you get to schedule another bye week against Chattanooga in your 11th week before you play Auburn, who you almost lose to.
Right.
On a prayer on a 4th down, Jalen Milroe throws the best pass of his whole career into the end zone to win that game. Alabama should absolutely not be in the college football playoff. Florida State, and I get it, you're missing your starting quarterback. The fact is they won every single game against every single team that was put in front of them.
I think a lot of us in Utah are just bitter up against that because there's plenty of times where Utah went undefeated and we didn't get any BCS love back in the day. I think we just have a special.
And the BCS was absolute garbage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone plays their bowl games and then everyone votes and decides that's the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Really? Like, we're not going to actually play to see who head-to-head is the best team in the country? No. We'll decide.
We'll
you guys
vote.
Don't know anything.
We'll just vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bunch of people who aren't competing. That's the other thing, is that they're the college football playoff committee is full of a bunch of people who aren't involved.
No.
I
mean, it's athletic directors and media people, and it's just like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I could rant and rave about this for much longer than the 6 minutes we've already been talking about it, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, the system's broken. I do think it'll be better next year, but the fact is there's always going to be some teams.
Yeah, exactly. Will it be better next year, or are we just going to be complaining about the people who got ranked 17, 18?
Well, that's exactly the question.
Yeah, it's 16 that goes to next year, right? or 14?
I can't remember. We checked
We
this.
quoted this twice.
We messed this up last time. So it's either 12 or 16.
I think it's 12. I think it's 12.
I think it's 12.
Yeah, but
Because I said 8, and I think you said 16. I think I think it was actually 12 when we finished.
And it's really funny because we still talk to this day about players that teams that get snubbed at the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament. So
yeah,
there's always going to be chatter, and you know what, the league wants that. The league wants that. They don't want to go to a 30-team schedule, you know. So I don't know. I think if you're arguing the 4 teams that got in, I would absolutely agree with you there on that. But as far as like fun games to watch, I think they did a good job picking these teams. Like
100%.
I mean, would you really wanted to watch Florida State get, completely rocked by Washington or get completely destroyed by Michigan?
Well, and that's kind of some of my argument that we're about to get into when we talk Michigan and Alabama.
Okay, let's jump into that. So let's
do it.
Yeah, let's talk about well, first the Rose Bowl. So this will be the first time that the Rose Bowl is not the Pac-12 championship game.
Yep.
Which is quite interesting. But we do have a very interesting matchup, which is considered to be kind of like your traditional slugfest of a college football game. If you're a college football purist, this is the type of game you want. You want Michigan and Bama playing together.
Big Ten versus SEC. Let's get into the slugfest. You know what I mean? It's all defensive minded. Neither one of these teams have super high-powered offenses. Michigan's defense is currently ranked number 2 in the country. Yeah, Alabama's defense is currently ranked number 18.
Yep.
So and then their offenses aren't top ranked.
No, Bama's 53rd in total yards and Michigan's 66th. With
correct.
380 yards.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, not great.
No, and then so when you get into these traditional powerhouses, you're looking at rushing. There's going to be a ton of rushing the football. Neither one of these quarterbacks are known for a ton of throwing. And Michigan's rushing offense is ranked 59th. Alabama's rushing offense is ranked 48th, and then Michigan's rushing defense is ranked number 5th in the country, and Alabama's rushing defense is ranked 31st. So you're going to have some great rushing. Kind of a great rushing head-to-head battle here. Michigan has some fantastic players. They've got JJ McCarthy, who's been with the program for 4 or 5 years. He completed 74% of the passes this year for 2,630 yards. And they've got their phenom running back in Blake Corum, who is absolutely fantastic. If you've watched any Michigan football, this dude is just great, man. I mean, he's physical. He's not huge, but he just runs people over.
Right.
He scored 24 touchdowns this year on 218 carries, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. Blake Corum will be a factor in this Michigan-Alabama game. I promise you that. Jalen Milroe is obviously the quarterback for Alabama. He really, 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 and let me emphasize that one more time, really struggled in the beginning of the season throwing the football.
Yeah, got benched against UCF.
Yeah.
UCF, sorry.
Yep.
UCF, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so this dude's really struggled, right? Like, and he kind of came into it after getting benched. He threw the ball. He's actually completed 65% of his passes on the season for 2,718 yards. But of course, he's got 5-star Alabama receivers in, to throw the ball to. And then they've got some really good running backs that Alabama always have. They've got Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams. Both those guys have over 100 carries. McClellan's good for 803 yards. Averages 4.8 a carry, and Williams has 110 carries for 560 yards, averages 5.1 a carry. So they've got 2 running backs that can really, really pound the ball with.
In fairness to Jalen, though, he really did kind of come around and turn his season around. He's a great story down there in Alabama.
He actually is, and it's kind of surprising because obviously he's a 5-star recruit, and he's kind of a dual threat guy. In the beginning of the season, I did watch some Alabama games, and I thought that he kind of ducked out of the pocket way too early. And these last couple of games, he actually did stick in the pocket and attempt to throw the ball down the field a lot more, which paid off because, like I said, in that Auburn game, if he doesn't throw that ball into the end zone on 4th and 17 or whatever, Alabama loses. They are absolutely out of the college football playoff.
Oh, yeah. Well, who knows? They might have figured out a way.
Oh, yeah. That's actually true. With the college football playoff committee, they probably still have a chance because guess what? They're Alabama.
And it's Nick Saban.
Yeah. And he'll just whine and complain until they're in.
Yeah. Well, he did throw for 192 yards with 2 touchdown passes and rushed for 29 yards against Georgia. So he did play well.
Yeah.
in that championship game. So.
He actually played very well in the championship game. He played very well, and Alabama looked like they deserved to be the SEC champion, right? Georgia was number 1, number 2 all season long. And Alabama defeated number 1 Georgia, and that's the reason they ended up getting in. Yeah. So I do got to say, Alabama only played 3 top 25 defenses this year. One of them they lost to. That was Texas. The only other 2 they played was Texas A&M, who they beat. Obviously, Georgia was a top 10 defense. They beat them in the SEC championship. But I do want to note that in that University of Central Florida game, UCF. Alabama only managed 17 points. UCF finished with the 128th ranked defense in the country. Yes, that is early in the season, but to struggle against a defense that finishes 128th in the country, not a good look.
No.
That's the reason Jalen Milroe got benched. And that was the turning point for Alabama's season, right? That was kind of where they got things flipped around. He came back in, ended up making some good plays. But with that being said, Michigan is, as everyone knows, a great football team. They're huge. They're Michigan defense.
Yeah.
I do want to point out the best offense that Michigan played this year was Ohio State at number 36. The 36th ranked offense in the country is the best one that Michigan played this whole season.
Yeah. And then Bama's ranked offensively 53rd. So does not spell well for Alabama.
Correct. But I think what I'm saying here is actually that Michigan's defense may not be quite as good as the current number 2 ranking that they're getting, because they did not play very good football teams this year.
Interesting.
The only other top 50 offenses that they even played was UNLV, who finished with a 46th ranked defense.
I could just read the comments right now.
Yeah.
But
just 6 teams that they played had offensive rankings under 100.
Yeah, that's yeah. So I don't know.
6 teams.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough to kind of read into this kind of thing, and I don't know. I think this kind of goes back to where we actually covered the NFL. I don't know if you remember this, audience members, OGs. Remember when we actually did NFL videos? Nobody watched them in case
Yeah.
So, don't worry about it. Like 5 people watched it.
Yeah, don't tune in and watch them either because they're horrible.
Horrible quality.
Don't go back. Yeah.
But I think our analysis was spot on there.
Yeah.
When it comes to a lot of that stuff. And that's basically what we're trying to do here. We're not going to come in here and say Michigan's defense is terrible. It's ranked 2nd in the country for a reason.
Absolutely.
But what we're trying to point out is the fact that they didn't necessarily play against their defense didn't play against any offensive powerhouses this year.
Yeah.
Is basically what we're trying to say. No top 10 offense at all this year.
That's correct.
So that's basically what we're trying to say is that while they are number 2 in the country, we're basically just saying that their defense hasn't really played that hard of an offense. And it's going to be the same going into this Rose Bowl game because, their offense isn't that great either.
And I think that's something you got to take a look at, right?
Yeah, you got to consider for sure.
Because Michigan hasn't played an offense as good as Alabama's this year.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? So,
but there's
I'm sorry.
So they did play one. Yeah, they played one over.
Yeah, they did play Ohio State at 36. 36 Alabama's offense is only ranked 53. Yeah. So they've played one.
Yeah.
But Michigan has played some really tough defenses. Yeah. Michigan played the number 1 defense in Penn State, and then they played the number 5 defense in Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. So they have played defenses better than Alabama's and won both those games.
Yeah, we do have the opening line, the very early opening line, which has changed a little bit. Currently, right now, Michigan is favored by 2.5 points early on with the over/under line at 46. I'm going to take the under on that line.
Oh, I'm absolutely taking the under.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into our predictions next week, guys. So make sure you turn in if you want to hear what we think, who's going to be winning.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. We're going to be giving our a little bit further breakdown as far as some players maybe, and then we're going to go into who we think is actually going to win both.
Who's going to be healthy? Who's actually going to be playing that week? So a lot of things can change.
All that stuff changes in a couple of weeks of practice. So we don't want to go too early. We wanted to give you some some basic analytical breakdown and let you guys start making your opinions.
Before we get into the Washington Texas game, I do want to talk about one other thing on this game.
Okay.
On the Rose Bowl before we get into it. Did you hear the conspiracy theory about Michigan versus Bama? Did you hear about this?
No, I actually did not hear this.
Okay, so the selection committee may have ulterior motives for pairing Alabama versus Michigan. Okay. The first piece of evidence I can find on this was actually first people talking about was the Coach JB show with Big Smitty, they have a podcast, and they kind of went into this, and a lot of people have been writing about it. So I figured it's worth talking about. But that the committee has pitted these two teams together to expedite Jim Harbaugh's exit from the program.
I don't understand. Why would that expedite Jim Harbaugh's? Because they think he's going to lose?
They want it. Because basically what they're doing is they put him against Florida, right? Florida State.
They clobber him.
And then they're going to be in the championship game. You put Bama in there, then there's a chance that Michigan might lose,
right?
Because Bama's been there, done that.
Well, and they're one of the most talented football teams in the country,
right? To your point,
oh, no doubt.
Act like you've been there before, right? Kind of attitude. So they're saying that Michigan is basically what they're doing is they're going to basically what the committee is trying to do is basically because Harbaugh spent a lot of time on suspension this year, missed a lot of games. There's a good chance that he may be exiting after this year.
Right.
That they're basically just trying to expedite that, get him out, so he's not necessarily being represented in the championship, in the national title game.
That's an interesting take.
They read that basically they looked off of body language responses and based off of their reaction, not only the team's reaction, but the front office reactions when they got bad. They're like, their reactions were like, what, really? Like they kind of like scared. And also some behind the door, closed door comments mentioned that they think that there might have been something to that, them actually having some ulterior motives, just try to get Michigan out of the college playoff sooner.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. What do you think?
That's a very interesting take. And with that being said, I hope Michigan stomps Alabama like 56-0. And then the SEC's out, all because the college football playoff was absolutely wrong, and they didn't even deserve to be in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not tinfoil hat type guy. I wouldn't necessarily think that that's the case. Is it more likely to happen in? I think it's more likely to happen in the NBA than anywhere else, where someone's going to tamper like that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Honestly, if you were to tell me that was one of the reasons why they didn't pick Florida, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy it. If they're like, well, we think it's like a better chance to get Michigan out of there because of the suspension and everything like that for Jim Harbaugh, and he may not be with the program next year. So let's just get him out of the spotlight as soon as possible.
I want you Michigan fans that are listening to this to tune in and let me know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you think the committee is trying to get Michigan out earlier due to all of this stuff, or do you think it's just Alabama deserved to be there?
You got to be careful, dude. I got people in Alabama.
I know. And I got nothing. Dude, like I said, Alabama is one of the most talented teams in the country. Do they deserve to be there? I don't know. But is it the best matchup? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They are making the most entertaining games absolutely possible.
Yeah.
And I can't say anything more than that. Again, tune in next week. We'll have our actual predictions on who we think is going to win this fantastic matchup.
Absolutely. You're just putting me in a tight spot against my people down in Alabama.
I know. I'm sorry.
Don't kill the messenger.
Don't hate him, hate me. That's fine. I can dig it. I got very thick skin.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on. You gotta have thick skin if you're gonna be hosting a YouTube channel, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We get tore up on the comments every week.
Sure we do. By the way, everybody, appreciate the comments. Thank you for letting us down below what you guys think. We really appreciate the engagement from everybody, and we keep it going, man, because that's what stuff makes this fun in between episodes.
It sure does, man.
We really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and pivot over to the Sugar Bowl, shall we?
Yeah, let's go, man. Washington versus Texas. This is a game of all games, in my opinion.
To me, this is the opposite of the other game.
Absolutely, because both these teams 100% deserve to be there. They won big game.
You are not letting this go. Oh my gosh, this is great. Oh my gosh. Okay, well,
I love it.
What I meant was this is very much an offensive matchup versus a defensive matchup.
Same thing.
Okay. All right, Texas is the 4-point favorite in this one. The over-under line is 64.5. On this one, I think I'm still going to take the under, but just barely.
I'm going to take the over on this one. Yeah. I think there's going to be some points scored in this game for sure.
Oh, there's going to be points scored. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I could see, Washington just let's go ahead and dive in. So Washington has the number 12 ranked offense in the country, the number 90 ranked defense. Texas currently has the number 9 ranked offense and the number 23rd ranked defense. Texas has one of the biggest wins of the college football season when they went and defeated Alabama.
Right.
They beat them by 10.
Mm-hmm.
That was the game that said that Texas deserved to be here.
Right.
I mean, they do have one loss. They lost to Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry this season. It was
You got that out in one take. Nice job.
Yeah. I've been practicing. That's all I do. So you're welcome, YouTube. Keep watching. This is going to be a great matchup here, right? Texas has Quinn Ewers. He's obviously a star quarterback. He's passed for 3,161 yards this year, completed 70% of his passes. They've got an excellent wide receiver in Xavier Worthy, who's got 969 receiving yards. They've got a couple of really good running backs. Or I'm sorry, they've got one really good running back in Jonathan Brooks, who rushed for 1,139 yards. Texas is a real deal, man. This team, they've got a ton of support. Texas has a huge fan base. They are a very, very good football team. And this is going to be the biggest test of the season, in my opinion, for Washington.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think I would argue that Oregon would have been, except with the fact that they took them down twice.
And that's kind of my thing is you can say that Oregon was going to be the biggest test because Oregon was ranked higher than Texas this whole season.
Yeah. They were in the top five. Well, top
but Washington
six,
beat them not once, but twice. And they beat them obviously at home the first time, but then, on a neutral field to beat Oregon. Yeah. I mean, you can't say that Washington, doesn't deserve to be here. So,
yeah. Well, based off of that, so Texas, Washington does give up 260 yards passing a game. So that's what they're giving up on average. Can Texas take advantage of that? Do you think they have the receiving core and the quarterback to really kind of exploit that and get a little bit more yardage than that?
I think that Texas has, having Quinn Ewers available for this game, because he was hurt for a couple of games there where they were running on a backup quarterback, having him available for this game and competing for a national championship, those guys are going to be riled up. They've got a couple really good receivers. They still got a Donnie Mitchell who's got 813 receiving yards this year. So they've got a couple targets. Washington's passing defense is they make timely plays, man. I don't know how to explain it. If you've watched any Washington football games, they're going to give you yards, but then when you get into the red zone, they stuff you and make you kick it for 3.
Yeah.
And that's what they get. That's what they did against Oregon. That's what they've done against everybody this whole season. They're willing to bend but not break.
Yeah. When it comes to the Washington side, I really like Dylan Johnson and the Washington offensive line. Very physical group out there.
Very, very, very physical. And the big thing is against Oregon, everyone predicted that the Oregon big, strong, and highly touted defensive line for Oregon was going to push around this Washington offensive line, and they just didn't have a chance to run the football. And Dylan Johnson went out there and ran all over Oregon the whole game.
And that's kind of where I'm talking about when it comes to Texas defense ranked 23rd and Washington's ranked 90th when it comes to defensive rating.
Mm-hmm.
I really see the fact that I don't really, I think right now that's kind of heavily skewed into Texas's favor, but I would be really surprised if Washington doesn't really push back that defense and kind of even that out a little bit. Because Washington, their offensive line it's a physical line.
They're big, they're physical. And the best part is this Washington offensive line can hold blocks just long enough for Romo Dunze and Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan to get out down the field. And how you cover 3 guys on defense? You know what I mean? Like nobody has 3 star cornerbacks to cover these 3. Jalen McMillan only had 468 yards this season.
Only.
And that's low, right? Romo Dunze had 1,428 and Jalen Polk had 1,000 receiving yards this year. To have 2,000-yard receivers on the same team is the reason Michael Penix Jr. ended up with 4,218 passing yards on 65% of completions. Because if you throw anything down the field, they're catching it and they're going, and you just can't cover up 2 or 3 guys in the secondary like that.
So I'm going to throw a stat this way. Okay. Actually, it's going to be a question on this. Now, everybody knows that you dive into the stats way more than I do on the college football side. You have a little bit better analytics on that one than I do. Let's call a pig what it is.
Let's be real.
Yeah. So you dive much. I got a stat for you that I want you to dive into for me.
Okay, I'm ready.
How many players in Power 5 conference football this year are first names Jalen?
I feel like it's probably a shit ton. It is a lot.
Come on, man. Like we've mentioned the name Jalen like 5 times in this video, and we talked about 4 different players.
Yeah, it's like everybody's name is Jalen.
Sorry,
that is an advanced statistic that I should definitely check out, and I'm not sure how I'm going to find it, but I'll tell you what, YouTube just for you, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. So on this one, like I said, I really like Washington's offensive line being able to push and kind of balance out the defensive defensive gap there. We've got Washington is ranked 90th in defense versus Texas ranked 23rd. So I really think.
But why is that number so skewed? Do you think, Darren?
Oh, did Texas not play anybody?
Well, Texas has not. I mean, Texas
did not play a high-powered offense.
I mean,
are we going with your usually tagline? We need to put this on the shirt, guys. We need to put this one on a shirt.
High-powered offense.
No, they didn't play anybody.
They didn't. That's exactly what it should say. They didn't play anybody. It's such a good. That's literally all I say about it. They didn't play anybody. That's why the Utes can win every game. They haven't played anybody. The Texans, with their number 9 ranked offense, has played 10 teams with defenses ranked number 50 or lower to finish the season. The only team that finished with a top 25 that they played was Alabama, and they did defeat Alabama.
Right.
Okay. But your defense looks a lot better. I'm sorry. Your offense looks a lot better when you're playing defenses that aren't ranked in the top 50.
That does help.
It absolutely helps. And then you go to Washington with their number 12 ranked offense, and they've played 8 defenses, right? So they've played only 8 defenses ranked 50 or lower, and they've played 3 teams with a top 25 defense. Oregon twice, and Utah, who finished with the number 18 defense in the country. So Washington's offensive ranking came against much tougher defensive opponents than Texas's number 9 ranking.
Okay.
Washington's defense ranked at 90 is misleading. We talked about this before the show. Why is it?
Washington's defense is
their number 90 ranking is misleading. And why is it? They played Oregon 2 times. Why is okay? You're missing. I'm trying to lead you into the stat that you told me you so badly wanted to say.
I'm sorry, I missed your lead in cue there, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, it's when you play a high-powered offense like Oregon twice, and you
2 times, and we're talking this Oregon offense is fantastic. And if you didn't see an Oregon football game, you're absolutely out of your mind because Oregon's offense was prolific.
Just for the jerseys alone, come on, man. No,
but I
mean, they're terrible this year. They were awful.
But Oregon could move the ball down the field at will.
Yeah.
And Washington didn't just have to play these guys once.
No, they had to play them
twice.
Yeah.
And to finish the season with a number 90 ranking, people are going to look at it and say, "Oh, this Washington defense can't do anything." I'd like to see anybody else play the number 2 offense twice.
Yeah.
Anybody.
So yeah, you did kind of I kind of missed it.
It is absolutely going to just annihilate your stats, right? And then you look at the Washington defense, and they didn't just play Oregon twice. They also played the number 18 ranked Arizona offense, the number 11 USC offense. Hell, they even played the number 24 finally ranked Boise State offense. All of these teams can score points and put it on the board.
Right.
And Washington won every single one of these games.
Right.
And their defense helped. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Washington number 90 is skewed. You know what I mean? This is a much better defensive team than anybody's giving them credit for because, and a lot of it is because they have such a high powered offense, right? These guys can score the football. They can get up and down the field.
You're not going to be, I think that's a big misconception when it comes to these. You'll always see that. You very rarely see teams top 10 in both.
Yeah, exactly.
If ever.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. There is a few.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you very rarely see that.
I want to say the only one that's actually currently ranked top 10 in both is Georgia.
Yeah.
And they're not even in it. So who cares?
Yeah. And again, it's usually going to be an SEC team or something like that.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I get it, man. Like, is that your thinking there? Because I was looking at this. I was looking at the total defense, total offense, and seeing things being kind of skewed to Texas's way, to be honest. And then I looked at the point spread for Texas, and I see it only being 4. Do you think that's probably why?
It's Washington by 4, right? Texas plus 4. Washington minus 4. Washington's a higher ranked team was the only reason I saw that. I have it listed on mine as Texas plus 4.
Could be.
But with that being said, I think that this Washington team will give Texas everything they can handle and pull it out because that's what they've done all season. I'll give my final opinion next week about what I think the score is going to be. This is going to be one of the best football games of all of college football season, in my opinion.
Texas is a 4.5 point favorite.
You're absolutely right.
I doubt Vegas gets it wrong. I mean, I could be wrong, but
no, you're absolutely right. Okay, so Vegas thinks Washington loses this game to Texas, who has one loss.
Yeah. So like, I was just kind of like, that's kind of like, I'm like, well, hang on a second.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it because let me tell you this. Every time Washington's been an underdog, they won.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's looking that way. The funny thing about all this is the more and more I look at these stats, right, and I look at different things, and I do like to look at betting sites because they have some of the best research out there.
They really do. Absolutely.
They have a hard time, like, all agreeing on a point differential and over underline and a money line for these teams. It drives me nuts. Like, so I have to pick and choose which source I want to go with when it comes to the who's favored. So. Usually they're only off by within a point or two, but yeah. So,
but if you've got any questions about my previous suggestion, go ahead and check out the previous video on Washington versus Oregon and how Washington was completely disrespected in a plus 9.5 to Oregon in a game that they win by 3 points.
Yeah. So I actually thought Oregon was going to pull that one out. I actually did.
I know you did. And then guess what I said?
You said Washington was going to win.
I said Washington's going to win. And guess what happened?
Washington won.
Washington won because they're the better football team.
I'm not going to argue that point.
You really can't because they won twice.
Yeah. Well, my point is that going into that game, that there was a lot more chances for Washington that gave you the incentive that Washington wasn't going to win that game. They had to get a pick six to win against who was it?
Don't even bring it up. There was a comment in the last video that how many times do I got to say that a pick six does not equal to them winning by 8? Shout out to whoever you were. We appreciate the comment.
We appreciate the comment there. Yeah.
Don't even go into it, Darren. Okay. They didn't need a pick six. They won by 8.
They won by 8. They didn't need a pick six. Right. It does throw off the line though. All the betting stuff. But
it sure does.
We are not a betting channel though. We don't advertise.
Please do not follow us for betting advice. Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be the ones in there. But yeah, so definitely let us know what you think in the comments down below, folks, where you're picking who to come out of that game. Do you think we're way off on our statistics there on what we think is going to happen and who's going to come out on top of both of those? And we'll definitely cover that with our final predictions in a future episode. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be reminded of it. And make sure you give this video a like.
Stay tuned in. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Shall we move on to Utah Jazz basketball?
Yeah. Now that we're an hour into this video, let's do it.
Yeah. 52 minutes.
Do we want to change the color or?
Oh, shit. Well, I guess all that was bad. I guess all that was football. 52 minutes of football, Darren. That's where we're at these days. Yeah. Yeah.
You want me to do a football video?
We're probably going to have to split the football videos at this point, considering we've got an hour worth of football content.
Yeah. And the Jazz just laid an egg, so it's not really that big a deal.
Did they get clobbered?
Yeah, they lost by like 30.
Oh, that's messy.
So Utah Jazz, we want to go purple? Let's go purple.
It always looks blue anyway.
It's the blue wall, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Let's go.
There we go.
That looks purple.
That's purple.
Is that purple?
That's purple.
That looks good. I like that.
It's purple.
Okay.
Blue, purple, purple.
Well, this one shouldn't be a very long clip because the Jazz suck.
Speaking of which, everybody, I appreciate it on the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, we really would appreciate a review. So actually, we probably should have paused all that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Listen on. Come on.
Yeah.
That's the best part about the podcast. You know what I mean?
It's the best part about the podcast. Also, folks, be sure to tune in on when we're actually planning on shooting this live. Did you see we got a comment that say that we wanted to go live?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, someone commented that we should do this live. So I don't know. I think
how did I miss that? That actually makes me super excited. Even if one person tunes in, I'll be happy.
Heck yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. We did talk about it, folks. Once again, folks, for those of you who are watching, listening on the podcast, this is available as a YouTube channel with these short clips, videos. We try to add a lot of B-roll footage to make it more entertaining for you guys.
Very visual.
Very visual.
For the record.
For the record.
The YouTube videos are visual. There is some fun stats on the screen. Some B-roll content, like clips from the videos we're talking about.
You get to see our evolution as far as our editing abilities as we go too. It's really great.
Yeah, it's getting much better. It's getting much better. Tell you, don't go back. Don't go back. You're gonna miss out.
You're for a will to hurt. Yeah. If you go back.
Oh my
Keep
goodness.
going forward.
It's painful.
Yeah, but as far
stick with us. We're gonna get better.
what we're planning on doing is we just hit 500 subscribers, which changes the way you can do things on YouTube, which means now we can now live stream our channel, which allows us to kind of do some additional things for the channel, like members only content and stuff like that. So we really like to kind of get into all that. But what we first wanted to do is celebrate the win with you guys of getting to 500 subscribers by starting to do this live, so everybody can watch this whole recording process live, catch all of our stakes, catch all of our, and get some engagement. We may be able to drop a comment right here in the middle of this video that talks about, what we talked about so far. We might be able to address it live on air. So that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be so fun, dude.
So yeah, make sure you guys get tuned into that, and we'll probably put up a thumbnail for an upcoming stream, and we'll, get a time probably around the same time that we film this on a Wednesday night-ish, because we do want to do Monday night, but then we get in the way of Monday Night Football and no one's going to watch.
Yeah, no, so, not even a little bit. Wednesdays are great. Unless there's a Jazz game on, but at that time you guys need to split screen it.
Yeah.
Watch us too.
And,
tune in. Let us know what you think.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk about the Utah Jazz. So let's first talk about Taylor Hendricks. Actually, let's jump in and talk about him.
I love this guy, man.
Yeah,
I do. He looks okay, right? I just want to be clear that I do love Taylor Hendricks.
But he looks okay.
But he looks okay. He's just such a raw talent.
That's what I was gonna say. He's
do you
raw.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
he is.
Well, it's not fair to him because he got hurt. He didn't play in summer league, and he also had to do lights work in camp. So he really hasn't had a chance to really get going. I think it's playing against him right now.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's exactly what's playing against him. The fact is he's played a bunch of G League games, and in those G League games, he's getting 10 times the minutes he's going to get on this Jazz team.
Yeah.
So I was just listening to David Locke today. He was talking about this exact same thing.
Locked On Jazz podcast.
On the Locked On Jazz podcast. I personally love David Locke. I know you're not a huge fan, but
I love David Locke.
Oh, do you like him?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Maybe somebody else I was talking to that didn't like him, but I do. I love David Locke. I love all of his, quote unquote, for you YouTube or you podcasters, his quote unquote geeky numbers.
Oh, dude, no.
I dig all of that shit.
He's seriously, we spend half our time auguring analytics on sports and detailed stats. So yeah, exactly. That's right up our alley.
It's just fantastic. I love David Locke.
For those of you who don't know who David Locke is, Locked On Podcasts, Locked On Jazz Podcast. He started the whole Locked On network.
Yeah, and he's a radio announcer for the Utah Jazz.
Radio broadcaster.
So if you ever listen to, if you're local and you've ever listened to a local broadcast, that's David Locke.
Super geeky on the numbers, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, he dives deep, and I love it. And he's just talking about how Taylor Hendricks in the next 20 games needs 20 more games with the Salt Lake Stars, right? And I completely agree. The fact is Taylor Hendricks is still very raw. He looks okay in his minutes with the Jazz. He's very stagnant on offense. When you're watching, he's just standing in the corner.
He's a little lost. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah.
His defense, he was very helpful. He actually was statistically fantastic. His offense was a +13. His defense was a -2, which puts his net plus minus for a positive of 15.
That's my stat.
That's in 20 minutes played though.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got a very, very small sample size of what this guys can do.
Yeah.
He does sag a little bit deep on defense. I watched a couple plays where, he's defending a wing, and he sags all the way into the paint to try to help. And in college, you can do that because they can't make two passes before you can get there. Right. That's like the thing in basketball is you try to be two passes away.
Right.
In the NBA, every single person can make that pass, and now you've got a wide open jump shooter. And if they shoot 40% from the field, it's going down, and now you look really bad.
Yeah, I think so. Let's talk about his performance. So he played against Portland, played about 20 minutes against Portland.
Yep.
He was 2 for 7 with 5 points, 2 blocks. One of them was a key block against someone who was drafted ahead of him, Scoot Henderson, which I think was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I think the offense will come. He's had to play. He's having to get used to this facing the basket type offense that you have in the NBA.
Correct.
His whole career in high school and in college was back to the basket, old school NBA, work the paint, back to the basket type offense. And that's just not what he's been doing. So I totally get his slow roll on the offensive side before he really gets going. A lot of people are saying, well, it's not good news that he's not like totally destroying the G League. Usually when you got a top 10 draft pick, you want them dominating in the G League.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily, he's playing well, but he's not necessarily blowing people out. He's not insane numbers. He's not coming out of the G League as the MVP, basically.
Yeah.
So
But he needs more experience in the G League.
What I'm saying is that his offensive capabilities, he's having to totally switch it. So I think when we talk about potential for a player, I think we need to hold on to that word here for this guy a little bit longer.
Yep.
For anybody who's saying, "Oh, he's a bust already," 20 games into the season, you just haven't, like, you got to give this guy time because he's having to learn how to play basketball a completely different way than what he's been used to his entire life.
And this game is a lot faster than anything you've ever played in college, right? You'd think just going to the G League is twice as fast as playing college, and then the NBA is twice as fast as playing in the G League.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the dude's got some adjustment period, right? I mean, we just need to be patient with him. He needs a little bit more time. And maybe in games, we're 1 through 20 now, and 20 through 40, I think we'll see some development. I hope he gets a lot more time in the G League. And then once we move into games 40 through 60, hopefully he's got enough development that he can come out and actually get us some quality minutes and actually, produce for this Jazz team on the floor. So
gotcha.
That's my opinion on Taylor Hendricks. I love the dude. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he's, it's funny because I just saw something about Trey Lyles and how the Jazz gave up on him a little bit too early.
No.
Remember Trey Lyles?
We did not give up on that guy early. I would 100% argue that guy got traded specifically and on time. My favorite quote is, anything that needs to be done eventually should be done immediately.
Yeah.
And you heard his interview with the
long practices.
Yeah, you heard that interview, right? Talk about
Dude, I think Joe Ingles still roasts him to this day for those interviews.
Because you're like, dude, like, you're a rookie in the NBA and you're whining about long practices and talking about how, I'm sorry, man, but that guy didn't have a good attitude. He came in, way too cocky, way too arrogant, didn't have a good attitude about it, didn't play with the team in the team process well. You could see it on the court when you're watching this guy play.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jazz gave up on him. I think they realized who they had, and they realized real quick, okay, we got to trade this guy because this guy is just not going to be.
But I think my point was that he's become a very serviceable NBA player, right?
Yeah.
He's shooting over 40% from three.
Yeah.
He's become a serviceable defensive player. And did the Jazz give up on him too early? No, I agree with you. I don't think they did.
Yeah, they weren't in a rebuilding.
But Jazz fans don't give up on Taylor Hendricks too early.
No,
right?
No.
We're literally 20 games into his career, and people are saying that this kid's not going to make it. He's got plenty of time to prove what he can still do. He's a fantastic three-point shooter. He's a great defensive-minded player. He plays defense first. Once he adapts to the speed of the NBA, this guy's really got a chance to be good in this league.
Yeah, I'd argue the Jazz were in a different place in both of those times.
Oh,
they're in a lot better place to compete for the playoffs when we had Trey Lyles than we do now with Taylor Hendricks. So
yeah,
I agree with you. I think there's definitely both those players are different in their makeup, and I think the Jazz are a different place for both of them. So people are making that comparison. I don't know. I understand it, but I don't think it's going to be the same situation. Now we are going to talk about this a little bit later, but do you think he's untouchable at this trade deadline? Absolutely. I agree. I wouldn't touch him. Yeah, I wouldn't touch him.
He's not going anywhere.
No.
There's way too much potential. I don't think Keontae, Taylor, or Bryce Sensabaugh, any of them will be moved by the trade deadline.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit. For sure. But we are 20 games ish into the season for the Utah Jazz.
Yep.
They just laid an egg tonight, which, by the way, I could not figure out from the life of me why they haven't played since Saturday till tonight.
Dude, wasn't that weird? Like, I was like literally thinking I missed something.
Do you know why?
Why?
They did not qualify for the midseason tournament.
Oh, in the midseason tournament.
These were the semi-finals. These were the qualifying games.
I was so confused. I was just
I'm like, they have 4 days off. Like, what's going on here?
What is this?
Yeah. And then they'll play a bunch of back-to-backs. Come on, NBA, fix your schedule. But it was
anything.
It was on ESPN 700. The drive with Spence Checkets that he broke it down. That's the reason why for anybody else who don't trust me as a source. There's your other source. Oh no.
Yeah, Utah Jazz. I can't believe we went that long on football, dude.
Yeah. So at the time of recording here,
cheapest. Hold on, my ears aren't in yet.
Okay. How do you feel about these things out there? I think they're pretty awesome.
What things?
The ear things. I think they're pretty cool.
Oh, dude, it's taken us to the next level, like sound wise.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this so we
know to cut that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What does this do? I heard this does something.
Oh, rock out, bro.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Anyway.
Make sure that gets in the podcast. Just so and for you guys on the podcast, just so you know, he just did a sweet rock out symbol and we got some laser beams behind us.
Yeah, everything's getting recorded into a Mac, so all those gestures are showing up on the screen. So
Pretty sweet.
it's pretty sweet. Kind of annoying though when you're trying to edit video.
This will be a very long episode, so I hope you guys enjoy some extra length on all of our BS that we feed to you. So
that's good. That's gonna be.
All right, let's go back into the Jazz. 20 games in, we're 7-13.
Yeah.
Our current expected win total is 25 games.
Which
do
is
you take an over or under on that?
I'm taking the over. I'll take the
Over. Okay.
I'll take the over.
I mean, I should probably take the over, considering I originally said in a previous episode, please don't check it out, the Jazz are going to be a playoff team and win going to go 500 this year. So I'm going to take the over on 25. But I don't think the Jazz are going to make the playoffs.
So there's two ways you can look at this. Are the Jazz going to make the playoffs, or are they going to make the play-in? I think the Jazz still have a shot to make the play-in. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Do they still have a chance? Yes.
I mean, they statistically still have a chance. Yes.
Yeah. But okay, so we said on a previous episode, once the Jazz came out the way they came out, that we're going to know about 20 games in where the season's going to go and how this team's going to end up.
Yep.
And I think we're there. Now, I think the Jazz overperformed to start the season last year. And though it appears that we did get more talented in the offseason, we have a lot less experience on this team than we had last year.
A lot less experience and a lot less, I mean, even just drive to win basketball games was some of the issue there for like 5-6 games in a row. And that was the reason for all the Will Hardy. You got to give a shit if you're wearing a Jazz uniform, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, yeah, we definitely want to cover that. I mean, we make the assumption that we're not the only source of content you guys are consuming on the Utah Jazz out there. So if we don't cover a story you want us to cover, please let us know in the comments down below if there's parts of a story that we missed that you want us to cover. We'll definitely cover that in a previous episode. We did kind of breeze by this last episode because we just kind of assume we're not the only thing you're reading or the only thing you're listening to, and that's in the shot.
What is?
That power cord.
Oh, it absolutely is. That looks terrible.
Hang on a second. I'll get it.
What's going on here? Shit is ghetto. Hold on. Did you get it?
I just unplugged it. Yeah, we'll be okay.
Oh, okay. This one needs to be plugged in.
Yeah. Okay.
It died.
One more time.
Bada bam, bada bam, bada bam. Laser beams.
All right. So if we talk about, I just think the Jazz are less talented. I think they're more talented because I guess with the Collins deal, the John Collins trade and everything like that, and the talent we got in the draft, I'm assuming that we made the assumption that the Jazz are going to be a little bit more talented team. But the problem is the Jazz overperformed last year to start off the season. They went, 13-7 to start the season, which is an incredible tear. So I just think that the Jazz just don't have that. And I think it could all boil down to one person. I think
Mike Conley?
Yeah. I think the fact that the Jazz don't have Mike Conley is basically
you don't have a veteran leader, shot maker / facilitator / can do it all, veteran presence on the bench, get you guys riled up, get you back into a game. They do not have that right now.
No.
I love Lauri Markkanen. He's just not that guy, right?
No. He's
still young. He's still just trying to do his best in every single one of these situations. Shout out Shooting Star. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you listening and consuming the Lauri Markkanen content. We do absolutely think Lauri Markkanen is a fantastic player. Absolutely the number one best player on the Jazz right now. And it brings up the question of who's the number 2 player. And that's the problem is the Jazz don't have a number 2 best player, right? I mean, you could argue Jordan Clarkson.
He was that player last year, but he's starting off so slow this year. I don't know. In 20 games in, he's still not efficient near his efficiency rating that he was last year. So
and that's exactly some of the problems the Jazz are having, right? Is they don't have a number 2 option scoring. I mean, Walker Kessler was out for a bunch of games, and he's your number 1 defensive option. That kind of gives you someone to feed into, as kind of like the Jazz used Rudy Gobert in past years. So this team's just kind of a mess right now, and they're kind of learning on the fly. And it's painful to watch as a Jazz fan, but I do think that we're going to come around. I do think we will find a rhythm and actually win and string together a couple win streaks. And once we do that, and we find a lineup that provides some defense and can still score the ball, we'll be in much better shape. So stay tuned, Jazz fans. We're in for a change, I do think, and I think we are trending in the right direction.
Speaking of which, I did want to report this. It was reported by SportsIllustrated.com. Did you see this article?
I did, absolutely.
All right, so it looks like teams are keeping a close eye on the Utah Jazz. And the key piece that I want to bring up in this topic where we talk about the Jazz, the main thing I wanted to cover in regards to the Jazz tonight is, are the Jazz, because of the way they're playing, do you think they'll be looking to sell early this year?
I do think the Jazz will look to move some of these pieces. I think that is probably the only reason the THT is still getting minutes, because they are going to look at what they can get back for him as a player.
I think I heard the greatest thing on the radio today, the Chuckers. Did you hear this?
No.
Oh my gosh. It was on, I can't remember what the interview was. And I'm sorry, I usually like to cite my sources, but I was driving. I couldn't jot it down. There are 3 players on the Jazz that are called the Chuckers, the guys that just have unbridled self-confidence and unquestionable and not necessarily, valid confidence in themselves.
Let me guess these 3 players.
Okay.
Because I didn't hear this.
Okay.
Is it Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, and THT?
Yes.
Bam, I'm good at this.
Those guys are the Chuckers. Those guys are willing to throw up any shot, anytime, regardless.
Doesn't matter how guarded you are, what kind of quality shot it is. If you're 18 feet away, which is the least efficient shot in all of the NBA, shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely shoot it.
The next one's going in, right?
Yeah. Well, with Jordan Clarkson, I actually believe that Colin Sexton I'm on the fence about. And THT, I don't know if he can make anything. This
year, man, Jordan Clarkson's less efficient than THT.
He is.
It's looking bad. Looking bad.
But I think JC really, and JC Jordan Clarkson, obviously, because we have John Collins.
Yeah, he's not known as JC. You got to be with the team at least 5 years before you take over the.
Okay, deal. I think Clarkson really benefits from having any kind of shooter surrounding him. If you notice when he's playing well, he's got Lauri Markkanen on the floor. He's got Kelly Olynyk on the floor. He's got guys that can actually shoot it, because when he drives and gets himself into all kinds of trouble, the defenses are forced to collapse on him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when they're forced to collapse, he can make a kick and he can make a good pass. And he's much more effective in those areas when you can't collapse on him because you don't have shooters.
Yeah.
So,
I would have to agree with it. It's a lot easier to slash the basket when you don't have 4 defenders staring down at you.
Absolutely.
So, and I go back to earlier in the year when we talked about this before the season even started. I think Jordan Clarkson's best role is 6th man on this team.
I agree.
I don't think he should be in the starting lineup. It's just not his thing. It's better for him to come off the bench. He's had his best.
Do you like Ochai in the starting lineup better than Jordan?
I do. I do. He's a lockdown corner 3. He's the best defensive guard we have on the team, including Chris Dunn. I'm fighting me in the comments.
Chris Dunn doesn't even play anymore for that reason.
Well, he does have the size. He does have the metrics to be a good defender. But yeah, I don't know what the Jazz saw in him, man, because obviously they decided very quickly that he was not the guy. I think 5 games into the season.
It didn't take long to see that. And I mean, if you've seen any of our previous videos, I was pretty high on Chris Dunn, right?
Yeah,
I actually thought that this guy had a legitimate chance to become and really earn his way back onto an NBA roster.
Do you think this is just the Jazz front office trying to make reclamation projects into draft capital or trade capital?
I do believe there's a ton of that,
because they have a lot of this. They have THT, they have
Colin Sexton,
who was underperforming with the Cavaliers, and then they also now have Chris Dunn. They have all these players that they are trying to spin into and improve on and make them better trade pieces.
Yeah.
I think this is just Danny Ainge's game plan, right? So
it's hurting the Jazz in the short term, but I do believe that Danny Ainge has a method to his madness, and I do think it'll probably pay off on the back end and put the Jazz in a position where they can be successful.
Yeah, I do see this. I would recommend that you shy of names like Markkanen, Kessler, and Keontae George. I would be surprised. Don't be surprised if you don't see them in a Jazz uniform by the trade deadline. SI is reporting that teams are looking closely at the Utah Jazz as they are currently playing themselves out of a playoff spot, potential playoff spot.
Well, it's not helping that Clarkson and Markkanen are both out either.
Yeah, it's definitely not helping.
So,
yeah. And one of the main teams, this is the part that's going to hurt Jazz fans. One of the main teams that are looking at us,
the LA Lakers.
The Lakers. And those are the teams that fleeced us. And that was the team that fleeced a lot of our talent in the first place.
Also the team that Clarkson came from, obviously before his trip to the Cavaliers, and
THT.
Yep. You want both of them back? Take them.
Yeah.
We just need your 2024 first round draft pick.
Yeah. Well, even that's termed. Did you hear about this? Like,
Yeah.
we won't even know who that is until.
Well, and actually,
It's
I don't
tied
think
to
they
a
can
pick
actually
swap.
trade their 24. I think they can't trade until 25, and they can't trade the 25 until they know who they're giving up in 24 because that pick already belongs to somebody else.
Yeah, and it's a top 4 protected, isn't it?
Correct.
And then the 26 they can't decide on until someone does a pick swap.
Yep.
So somebody else. It's a mess over there in LA. But
Well, they've given up everything to try to win now because you have LeBron James, who's 162,000 years old.
Yeah.
But don't worry, he's going to try to win one against Father Time.
Did you hear about this? About the NBA, the big conspiracy of the play-in tournament with LeBron James and how he tried to call a timeout and they didn't give it to him?
I saw it. Did you see it? No, they did give him the timeout. That was the problem.
They gave him the timeout. You know,
yeah, when no one had the ball, there's no possession, and they gave LeBron James a timeout.
Is that just because he's LeBron James, or do you think it's the league trying to get the Lakers into the playoff tournament?
They absolutely gave him possession because he's LeBron James. I
agree.
I don't know if it's anything Lakers wise, right? But I think it's because LeBron James is yelling he wants a timeout. The referee looked at him rather than where the ball was and granted the timeout, even though the ball's being pushed to the middle of the floor. Like,
yeah, I 100% agree.
And man, that stuff pisses me off so bad.
Yeah, my favorite was when Bojan Bogdanovic was going to guard him and he basically picked up the ball, walked 3 steps, then dribbled again.
Yeah.
And then Boyan's like, what the, the ref's just like, I didn't see anything.
Did you see Giannis's one dribble dunk from like 3/4 court?
Yeah. I don't get what the NBA is letting him get away with. But my point is that I don't really think that the league was trying to make sure the Lakers were in the play-in tournament.
I agree.
Mid-season tournament. I think you're right. I think it's just the LeBron.
It's just LeBron. It's just the LeBron factor.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to get off Utah Jazz though, because we can talk about it all night. We both know that.
Yeah. So
hold on. Oh, sorry. You can finish.
Yeah. So folks, let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what you think as far as the Jazz 20 games into the season. Are you right along with us here where you think basically their playoff chances are slim to none, if any? And let us know who you think is going to still be with the team at the trade deadline. And can we look forward to seeing any of our boys in Laker gold?
Yep. Also chime in. Let us know what you think of Taylor Hendricks and how he's going to be, how he's been, and what you think you see in the next few games coming up for Taylor.
Absolutely. For sure. All right, let's go ahead and pivot to Major League Baseball, shall we?
Absolutely. We got to change the background.
Okay, let's do it. What do I do on this one? Oh, that's pulsing. Huh?
Ooh, pulsing's cool.
Yeah,
it'd be a nightmare for editing, though.
Let's go white.
I like it.
Let's go white. For those of you on the podcast, we changed the background color of our set for the YouTube video. If you want to watch the full video on YouTube, it's available as a podcast. You get to see full unedited video on YouTube underneath our playlist podcast. Go check it out. If you are listening to us on a podcast, please make sure that you leave us a review and subscribe. Thank you.
Make sure you hit that like button too. Wherever you're listening, whatever you're on, make sure you hit the like button.
There's no like button on the podcast.
I don't care. Hit it anyway.
Go to YouTube.
Hit the lock button.
And hit the like button.
Actually, no, don't do that.
All right. So we've got let's go ahead and pivot over to Major League Baseball, shall we?
Oh, yes. You know this is my favorite.
Absolutely. Your favorite thing to talk about
every podcast. My favorite is Major League Baseball.
Favorite. I know. I just like to tease you and keep it to the very end too. A lot of times.
And I will be asleep within the next 4 minutes. So let's make sure we get through this. I love Major League Baseball. I actually love baseball. This is your thing, Darren. We've talked about this.
Okay, sure. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the winter meetings. So the winter meetings are in full effect right now. We're about 3 days into them, 3 or 4 days into it right now, depending on when this comes out on YouTube here. And let's talk about let's go ahead and talk about the number one subject that on everybody else's mind. We'll talk about that last. So be sure to watch the end of the video.
Tune into the end.
So we can talk about that here. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about basically some of the transactions that have gone down over the last couple of weeks, or at least during the winter meeting, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so first of all, the first one I'd like to talk about is the Yankees and Red Sox made a trade. Have you seen this?
Yes.
This was not the one that just went down, because that actually just happened at the time of recording. So we will talk about that.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and talk about the Yankees and Red Sox doing a trade for Alex Verdugo, sending Alex Verdugo to the Yankees.
Yeah.
These are two, like, some of the biggest rivals in all of professional sports, the Yankees and the
working together to make it happen.
Making a trade. Now, I didn't see the trade package that's coming back for Alex Verdugo at all. Honestly, there's most of the names I didn't really recognize and didn't really see anything that was really jumping out at me at all.
Right.
But are you familiar with that name, Alex Verdugo, at all?
I'm not super familiar with that name, but I did see the trade happened.
Okay, so he is actually he came up with the Dodgers system, and
okay.
He's part of the Mookie Betts trade.
Oh,
he was a key piece that we traded to the Red Sox. Sorry, the Dodgers traded to the Red Sox to get Mookie Betts.
We the Dodgers.
Yes, yeah, we the Dodgers. So that the Dodgers traded to get Mookie Betts. So he was a key piece of that trade. He's been in right field. His best season was with the Dodgers. He hasn't necessarily been playing up to his potential there with the Red Sox. So they have actually moved him to the Yankees. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think I'm mostly surprised that that the Yankees and the Red Sox are working together to move any key pieces anywhere.
Yeah, they're not exactly trade partners.
Yeah,
that was kind of weird. The other one I want to talk about is Craig Kimbrell. Did you see this?
Kimbrell, yep.
Sorry, you know why I say Crumble. Everybody who's a Dodgers fan or at least watch Dodgers baseball know why I called him that. He agreed to a 1-year, $12 million deal. Who did he go to?
I don't have that one on my notes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Okay. So Craig Kimbrell signed a 1-year, $12 million deal to go to Baltimore.
The Orioles, huh?
Yes. Now this does fill in a key need for them because Felix Hernandez. This is not King Felix. Felix Bautista, who was easily the best closer in baseball all year last year. He's out with Tommy John. So this covers that.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge loss.
He's going to miss all of next year for Tommy John. So they're basically just doing a stopgap until he comes back, giving Craig Kimbrell, 1 year contract to go to Baltimore. This is exactly what I wanted to see from them. You know, I kind of liked what they did at the deadline, but I think they did a little too not enough.
Right.
Basically, you win 100 games.
A little too little.
Exactly. You win 100 games for like the first time in God knows how long for your franchise, and then you don't really go after any big fish. You don't mean big trades to get a elite starting pitching, which is what you need in the postseason. So I really like this. I hope they do more in this offseason to get some more starting pitching because they really need it. But yeah. So what else do you got as far as moves?
Did you see that Adam Simber agrees to a deal with the Angels for 1 year, $1.65 million?
Yeah. Okay. So
and Adam Simber really struggled last year with the Blue Jays, right? I mean, his ERA was 7.4 in the 22 appearances that he had. Really struggled, but kind of crazy that the Angels are already moving for pitchers without knowing what's going on with Shohei.
Yeah, well, he's not pitching next year.
I guess that's true.
So 1 year deal wouldn't make any.
1
year, $2 million. That's really not going to move the needle too much,
right?
There's as another YouTuber, Doug McCain says, there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal.
That's absolutely right. I think that's in every professional sport, to be honest with you.
So I can totally see them doing that. 7 ERA. You need somebody to eat innings. You don't got any other options. He's obviously not going to be that bad again going forward. Let's hope not. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope not.
But if he's going to underperform somewhere and continue that, it's going to be with the Angels starting rotation for sure.
And then the Angels also signed Willie Calhoun to a minor league deal and give him an invitation to spring training. So kind of fun because we could see Willie Calhoun play for the Salt Lake Bees next year. Yeah, that would be really cool because he did play for the Bees. He was with the Bees previously when he came up with Trout, by the way. Yeah, which is super cool. Yeah, so he did come up with Trout. He did spend a little time as a Dodger, so I got to see him as a Dodger as well. Did not play well when he was brought over. I believe he was brought over on the waiver release. Oh, okay. No, I think he was one of the players that got released. I can't remember how that works. Angels fans, let me know in the comments down below. Check it. You guys know. Yeah, let me know for sure on that one. But yeah, Willie Calhoun, glad to see that he's still, getting invitations because he's definitely a good guy. I like to see him. Out there making the best of it. My next note is on Juan Soto. Yeah. So let's talk about that. News broke just a moment ago. So while we were talking about college football, text came in from a good buddy of mine, Sean Roach. Appreciate it, buddy. You don't actually watch these videos, but appreciate it for giving me the information there. Juan Soto was traded from the San Diego Padres to the New York Yankees. Do you know if Trent Grissom was included in the trade package? I think once the Yankees traded for Alex Verdugo, I think that kind of nixed whether or not Trent Grisham would actually be involved in that trade because they already have an outfielder replacement for that Grisham would play. Okay. And then you also already have Judge. Well, and that was one thing that I saw was that potentially means that they're moving Aaron Judge to center field to play for the Yankees.
Right.
with the move for Juan Soto. So
Yeah. So now you got Verdugo in left, Judge in center, and Soto in right. Is what I think is going to happen.
it's a tough outfield.
Yeah. That's a tough outfield. I mean, you could probably swap in swap out Verdugo and Soto, but I think you're definitely going to see Judge in center field. He's the most athletic out of the three. So,
right.
I don't know, man. What do you think about that trade? That's a pretty awesome outfield.
I got a bunch of friends that are Yankees fans, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say about this new Yankees outfield, because that is pretty legit, man. I mean, that's the Yankees making some moves, which is always good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Yankees fans, please let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what you think of the trade. Do you think, do you think it was worth the haul? Do we have? Let's see here. There's a lot coming through. So the Yankees agreed for a trade for Juan Soto, sending fellow outfielder Trent Grisham. So he is is included in the trade, which is interesting. According to Joel Sherman of the New York Post. So let's see here. San Diego is likely to receive right-handed Michael King, top pitching prospect, Drew Thorpe, right-handers, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and catcher Kyle Higgy-Sioka. Oh, dude, they traded Higgy? That's one of my favorite players on the Yankees. Wow. Okay, so the deal has not been announced yet, but it is expected to be announced later tonight. Yeah. Okay. So it's pretty much confirms there that Juan Soto has been traded. This is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the San Diego Padres and having to borrow money to cover payroll.
We knew they were moving somebody.
Yeah. And the only thing they really had to, that's really the only tradable contract they had, 1 year left. And, I think that was the right move to do to kind of balance the
especially
payroll.
if you're struggling with payroll.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah, this was the first reported by Jim Bowden, The Athletic. So he's going to have his 26th birthday. For the second time before his 26th birthday, he's on the move from Juan Soto. Okay.
I thought you just said he's going to have his 26th birthday for the second time.
Oh, I've had my 26th
I was like, not again.
for like the 15th time,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know. He hasn't really performed well with the Padres. He did have a good second half of the season last year. We really helped kickstart their, once they were out of it, they all of a sudden started winning games last year. So I don't know, but I think that's really, really interesting that they went there. So that's, so Grisham did go. So I don't know. What would you do there? Yankees fans, let us know. With Trent Grisham being included in the trade, where would you, is he probably going to be a platoon, right? Like lefties versus righties? I don't know, man. Like where would you put Grisham? Like, I don't know. Is that just a salary dump? Let us know in the comments down below, Yankees fans. What do you think about that?
I want to know how you feel about the Dodgers bringing back Jason Hayward.
So J-Hay, man, 1 year deal, right?
Yep.
What was the terms on that?
I didn't actually see it.
I think it's 1 year.
I saw it was 1 year, but that was all I saw.
I think it's 1 year, $9 million or something like that. I think that's somebody else. Actually, we'll talk about that. But J-Hay does go back to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Cubs paid him a buttload of money, and he did not perform well. Comes to the Dodgers, they take him on, and he only gets a spring training invite.
Oh, that's all it is?
No, his previous contract. He played with the Dodgers last year.
Gotcha.
He got a spring training invite, and then played his way into the starting role, and then was one of the best players on the best hitting players on the team that last year. Again, another, just like we said before, there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal. I think he's going to retreat a little bit to the norm, but we definitely need him for platooning against left-handed pitching.
Yeah,
you got a bat that can hit, left-handed pitching, and that's definitely what we need out of him. And that does allow Mookie Betts to move to second base, because it was announced during the winter meetings that Mookie Betts is going to be the full-time second baseman. That is a 6-time Gold Glove winning right fielder that they decided just to move to second base. So he's one of the best right fielders, if not the best right fielder in all of baseball. And they're like, no, you're playing second base now.
You're a second now. You've got this.
Which is actually where he came up on. The only reason why he didn't play second base for the Red Sox is because they had Dustin Pedroia, who was an MVP second baseman for the Red Sox. So he had to learn to play outfield for the Red Sox in their minor league system. So he's now his everyday second baseman. That's going to keep his legs fresh, keep him from getting injured in his twilight years of this contract. So they're just trying to maximize his prime there. So re-signing J-Hay, I think it's the right move. I really like it. It's a good fit. He plays well with the team. He's been there, done that. He's won a World Series in 2016 with the Cubs. I like it. I think it's a good move.
Excellent.
Did you see the other Dodgers signing?
I didn't.
The Dodgers re-signed Mariachi Joe Kelly.
Did they?
Yeah, Joe Kelly's coming back.
That's what I'm talking about.
1 year, $8 million deal. They had a $1 million. They had a club option for $10 million. They bought that out for $1 million. And he's brought back on an $8 million deal. So they basically saved $1 million by doing this and signing another 1 year deal with Joe Kelly. But yeah, Mariachi Joe, man.
Check out our previous video on the Dodgers signing Joe Kelly. There's some excellent content there.
Yeah, everybody, thanks you for watching the Joe Kelly video where he throws at Tatis, which I think was fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk, in the comments down below, let us know what you thought about that one. I just, if you're going to do the whole let the kids play and you got to let the pitchers play too. If they don't like what you did, then, something's coming at you,
Yeah.
So anyway, it's really cool to see Joe Kelly come back. He really was, when he's playing, that's the biggest problem with Joe Kelly is that when he's playing, he's not.
Sorry. I apologize.
When he's playing, he's not, he is elite, but he's not always playing. He's been injured more oftentimes than not.
Right.
So, I mean, when you're a $175 soaking wet and you throw 100 miles an hour, you're going to get injured. So
you're just going to hurt yourself.
It's just going to happen. So yeah. Anyway, really good to see Joe Kelly back. So I thought that was pretty cool. What else you got?
Mets owner Steve Cohen.
Okay.
Flew to Japan to meet with Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Dude, you nailed that.
That's what I'm here for.
You nailed that. Good job. Good job. Yeah. He's literally like probably the second biggest free agent right now. I mean, you could argue between him and Blake Snell, the Cy Young Award pitcher from the Padres, who's going to be the highest total prospect right now. But people want Yamamoto more because he's going to come in a little bit cheaper than Blake Snell's going to get. To be honest with you, I think Blake Snell's going to get more. Yep.
And he's scheduled to be in the U.S. in the next few days to start meeting with teams. But I mean, it was noted that the Mets owner, Steve Cohen, obviously flew out to meet with him before he came to the U.S.
Oh, dude.
Just to try to get a little jump on that recruiting.
Uncle Steve, man. Dude, I don't know how much you know about this guy, but he's the richest owner in baseball. We talked about him, how he dumped a crap ton of money into two aging pitchers for the Mets last year in Verlander and Scherzer.
Yep. And immediately regretted that decision.
Yeah. By the end of the year, they were both on other teams competing in the American League Championship Series.
Yeah.
It's just, and he's still paying for half their contract for all the prospects.
It's just like, it's fine. It's just money. I'll make more.
Dude, it's just money. But I will say that he did it right. By paying half their contracts, he's getting their elite prospects back from both Texas and Houston, which was awesome.
Pretty smart move.
I
mean, if you're gonna make a move, sign those guys to max contracts, get the top prospects back. I'll pay for half of them while you guys got them for the last few years.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it.
Good deal.
I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised there. I think there's really the Yankees and the Mets are probably the 1 and 2 landing spots for that guy.
Yeah.
I really think either one of them is going to make it. I do think the Giants are going to try and swing hard for that guy as well.
Always.
So we'll see. But yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all to hear that Steve Cohen flew out to Japan to be with them.
Yeah. Okay, so last thing on the baseball docket, most important one, unless you got something else.
Dude, I don't know if I want to talk about this, man. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Has Dave Roberts officially effed the Dodgers by publicly speaking about Shohei Ohtani's meeting with the Dodgers?
I don't know, man. It all depends on how you want to read it. Like, because think about it. Like, obviously, if you're coming from Dave Roberts' perspective, it's obvious. They've been the number.
It's absolutely obvious.
They've been the number one landing position since before this last season that he's going to probably end up with the Dodgers. So to admit that you met with them after you met with them, are you really, leaking anything? Like,
but if you guys check out our previous video, it'll be somewhere over there probably at some point, or maybe not actually. Anyways, it does specifically speak about how Shohei Ohtani has said he will immediately disqualify any teams that talk publicly about meeting with him.
Not disqualify. It will count against them.
Yeah.
So how much of a run ahead of the rest of the teams that the Dodgers have in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's at least meeting with them.
Yeah. And it's obvious that he did meet with them, but they didn't let it leak that he was going to meet with them. They only let it leak after he did meet with them.
But also all of the Dodgers front office declined to even comment or confirm if they had met with Shohei Ohtani. The only person that had made any comments was Dave Roberts. And he's like, of course, Shohei Ohtani is our top priority.
Yeah. Dave, you had one job. Just one. Just one job. He said, don't talk about it.
Shut your mouth.
And you talked about it. And you weren't going to lie by saying, I'm sorry, I can't discuss that right now. Or simply say what every other manager has said, smile, no comment. That's all you had to do. But no, you had to do
I love the rant. You're an idiot, Dave Roberts.
I've never been on the fire Dave Roberts bandwagon ever. I thought he's done a great job managing.
You're still not.
I don't know, dude.
It's not going to cost you Ohtani if it is.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk about that. Does this really cost the Dodgers the chance to sign Shohei Ohtani?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so, man. I think the key thing was if you leaked it before you met with the team, that you met with him.
Yeah.
Because what he doesn't want is if he knows that you're going to meet with the Dodgers and you're going to meet this weekend, guess what happens at LAX? Every reporter and everybody who wants to know Ohtani sign is going to flood that, and he just wants to not do that. He is not a publicity. He doesn't like that at all.
No,
he doesn't want to do that.
He wants to be out of all the BS.
He only talks to the press on days he starts. So when is he going to talk next year? Like just every 6th day? Like, I don't know. It's going to be weird. But yeah, I think the Dodgers didn't let it leak before they actually meet with him. They only did it in an official press conference at the winter meetings when it wasn't going to be a big deal. And he just admitted to the obvious. Of course, the Dodgers are going to meet with Shohei Ohtani. They're the front runners to land him the whole time.
Yep.
You know, so do I think it cost him? Absolutely not. And if it did, honestly, do you really want that kind of, really?
It's a little bit drama, man.
I think that's
I don't know if that's what you want on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Ohtani is generational talent.
Yeah. But he's a unicorn.
But if you don't, I mean, if you can't even leak little stuff like this after,
it wasn't even a leak.
Let's be real.
It's an official statement made from an official thing
at an official event, an official
2 days
Dodgers
after.
event. Yeah,
yeah. And let's talk about what team did get something leaked. The Blue Jays. It was leaked that the reason why the Blue Jays weren't at the winter meetings is because they were meeting with Ohtani in the Florida spring training facilities.
Right.
So that leaked. So are the Blue Jays out of it now?
Oh yeah.
So they should be based off of these rules. So the Dodgers are out. Sorry, the Dodgers are out.
Soon enough, he's not going to have anybody to play for. He's going to start his own baseball team, and all he can do is hit because he can't pitch this year. And
he was cited outside Oracle Park at one point. So I don't know, man. I think it's let's talk. I actually want to dive into that a little bit deeper. This is bad for baseball.
Pump the brakes. Do you want to do this episode? Because we're at about almost 2 hours now.
Yeah. Okay. We can wrap it up, but I don't know. We'll talk about it in a future episode, how this is actually bad for baseball. I think the winter meetings are great for baseball. It's great for us to talk about baseball when we're so far out from the regular season.
Yeah.
We're 4 months away from spring training starting, and we should be talking about these winter meetings and deals being done. But no, the generational unicorn talent cannot be spoken about. I think it's bad for baseball.
I also don't like that they can dictate when and where they meet with teams and when and who can and can't talk about them.
Yeah.
It's not going to help anything moving forward. But again, let us know, you guys, if you guys want to hear more about that.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments down below, folks, what you think about the winter meetings. Let us know what you thought about Dave Roberts opening up his big mouth and potentially ruining the chances for the Dodgers.
Let's hear it, Dodgers fans.
You heard my take there, guys. I don't know, man. There's a lot to unbutton there for sure. So let us know in the comments down below, and also let us know if you want us to do a part 2. Yeah, anything else?
That's what I got, buddy. This is a long episode. Thanks, you guys, for sticking with us.
Absolutely. Once again, folks, this is a podcast. We do have it available on YouTube in its full format in a video on our playlist labeled podcast. You'll see that on that end of the screen at the end of the episode.
Yep. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like it. Make sure you like it again. Make sure you share it. Make sure you subscribe. We appreciate all your guys' engagement. We love the comments. We love the feedback. This show gets more and more fun to do every single week. So thank you, guys.
Yeah. Make sure I do need to correct you on the like thing though. You need to like it an odd amount of times, not an even amount of times. Because if you like it once and you like it again, that unlikes it.
Yeah. So if you're going to like it, if you're going to continue to click like, make sure you click it 3 times.
Make sure you click it an odd number of times.
Odd number.
You can do 7, you can do 9, you can do 11. I don't care. It's just always an odd number.
As long as you like it.
Yeah. Once again, folks, we are on the grind to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please let us know in the comments down below if there's anything we haven't covered that you'd like us to cover. We are on the grind. Once we do hit 1,000 subscribers and we get our first $500 in AdSense revenue, we're going to give that back to our subscribers. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on that giveaway. With all that said, my name is Darren. This is AJ. And this has been the DNA Sports Recap.
Till next time.